Hello, everyone. You're watching God, Sex, and Love. It's your girl, Miracle Sims. And tonight I'm chatting with Miss Malaika Etuk. She is an awesome author and podcast host and an overall wonderful lady. So if you're ready for this conversation, then stay tuned.
That I'm not the type of girl that goes around and fools around. See, I'm so I'm good, but I bet you wishing I would have a one night.
Welcome back to God, Sex, and Love. I am here with the lovely Malaika Etuk.
Yes.
The lovely lady. Hello, how are you?
No, fine. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you. Yes, welcome. Welcome to God, Sex, and Love.
Thank you.
So, you were telling me about your name. You were telling me about where you're from and your lovely accent and everything like that. So, yes, tell everyone about all of those things.
As you said, my name is Malaika, and I'm from Panama, Central America. However, my name is African, and it means angel. And I was telling you before that the etuk, I got it because of my husband. I ended up marrying to a Nigerian, you see. So like the name kind of attracted us somehow. So, yeah, as I said, I'm Central American. My native language is Spanish, in case you hear any accent now and then.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. And like I was telling you earlier too, I'm like, I cannot tell at all. Like you sound, very fluent to me in English. So welcome again. And yeah, I think you're the first person that I've talked to in Panama. So that's amazing as well. And it's exciting. So have you been there your entire life?
Yeah, I was born here and I've lived here all my life. I've traveled abroad to different countries, but I've been here all my life in Panama.
That's awesome. That is amazing. Well, I am excited to learn more about you and your books and your endeavors. I know you have a podcast and so many things. So let us know about everything. What's going on with Miss Malaika?
Okay, thank you. Well, my life has been like a lot of ups and downs and a lot of I will say in my health wise, it's been very hard since I was a child. But to start with, I was adopted as a child. Let's say I thought I was abandoned, but I was actually, it's a long story, I have in my book. My mom was like 15 years old when she had me, and a series of things happened, and they took me away from her. I ended up in the system for adoption, and a wonderful family adopted me. And that was good. Just that as I entered into this family, my new life, I encountered a very difficult situation, which was sexual abuse for years, since I was a child to like 9 years old. And, that's difficult. However, the Lord has been good, and he healed my heart, and he allowed me to forgive, let go, keep on. So that was an obstacle, a challenge in my life. And then I had a bunch of health issues. As I said, I started like with asthma. Then I had all type of allergies. I will swell up. I can't be like in dust. I will be, having a really bad time. Medications, allergic to them. And then they like during my life, I'm just like remembering certain things. It's not like necessarily in order, but I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's not fun. And then a diabetes type 2. This says some kind of hypothyroidism. I think that's the way you say it, with the thyroid. In 2016, I remember, was a really hard year because it was good because I finally met my biological mom. And then there's where I got to hear all the different sides of, the coin. And then that same year, I had a mini stroke, and part of my face at this side was like, but we prayed about it. And like there were a group of like prayer warriors. They came to the house. I didn't really want them to come because, you know, I was all embarrassed with my face on the side and not feeling too well. But they prayed, and it after a while I could feel my face. I could smile. So that was like a miracle for me. And that was okay. But then after that was in March when I had the mini stroke, and then in I think it was July, I had a brain surgery because due to the mini stroke, the nerves inside of my head were like stuck together, and that produced a very intense pain in my face, like here, here, and here. And they say the name is like trigeminal neuralgia. It's a horrible pain, and they at first they gave me a lot of meds and things, but the pain was so intense that even though the medication made me like drowsy, sleepy, the pain will wake me up. And there was nothing. I wanted to drive myself crazy. And I remember one day I took a knife. I'm like, because I felt like the pain will start here. I said, like, there's something in here. So it was driving me crazy till I took a knife, and I'm like, I'm going to take it out. My husband was like, no, 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 no. You know, it's just for you to see how painful it is. So at the end, the doctors decided, no, let's, you have to have surgery so we can separate it because nothing else is working. So I have a big scar on the back of my head. It was hard. But then you would think, oh, that, you know, thank God he survived, whatever. But then in, I think, late October that same year, I remember I started having like weakness in my extremities, my arms, and I couldn't like move too well. And it's just like being so heavy. And I'm like, I don't feel well. So we went to the doctor. They did some tests and stuff. They said, no, maybe it's stress or whatever. I'm like, wow, what kind of stress is this, you know? So they gave me some pills as usual. And when I took them, I was feeling better. But as soon as the effect wore off, I felt even worse than the beginning. And it came to a point that I wanted to like move my hands or whatever. I couldn't. And it became hard for me to breathe. So they took me again to the hospital, but this time I couldn't even open my mouth. I wanted to talk, but my mouth like shut down. I wanted to move. I couldn't move. I was just there. I could hear everyone. I could see everything, but I couldn't respond. So they called a neurologist. So he said that oxygen wasn't getting to my brain and whatsoever. So they said, we're going to leave her in the hospital. They gave me some medication and I felt a little better. But he said, let's leave her for observation because we need to run some tests and see what's really happening. So I'm just like brushing through everything, not all the details, you know. So the next morning I woke up and I'm like, wow, I feel good. You know, I was strong and everything. I told my husband, I want to go and take my shower. He's like, you're sure? I'm like, yeah, I feel good. And then a nurse came in and she's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to take my shower. She's like, really? She like looking at me like, but you were just on bed, you know, what is happening? So I went and she said, let me get a chair for you just in case you don't feel well. Thank God she did that because I started taking my shower. I was fine. But all of a sudden, I don't know if it was like an adrenaline something and maybe I wanted to bathe, but then all that energy went away and I started like everything was dark and I was like holding onto the chair. The next thing I remember, I heard my name. They're like calling me, but I heard them like far away, you know. And at the end, when I woke up again, I had a tube inserted in my throat. I had a tube here. I had some things on my head. I had been in coma for like 3 days. And yeah, and I realized, I heard that my family and, you know, close relatives and stuff came to say the last goodbyes and stuff because it was, I had I think it's called Guillain-Barre. It's a condition where you're trapped in your own body and your organs and stuff. Depending on the intensity, it could be very serious and life-threatening. And a lot of people that have been over it, they stay like maybe they can't walk or, different things. But after that, I understand, like, my husband is a pastor. So he gathered with some people and he won't give up. He was like praying, praying, praying. I woke up and, well, there's another story to it, but at the end, I give the glory to God because after I woke up, I just stayed like 2, 3 more days. They even changed, they took out the tube and everything. I could breathe. I had to do some exercises to start breathing on my own and stuff. And after I was discharged, and the doctor said, wow, you like recovered really fast. And although it was hard for me to do certain things like comb my daughter's hair. I didn't have full control of my hands like before, but eventually I started getting stronger and stronger. And the doctor was really impressed that, wow, you really recovered fast. So I know it's God's grace, because I feel sometimes like 2016 was the year for me to die or something, because if you see from the beginning of the year, one thing after the other, you see. So those are some things I have in the book. And then I don't know if I'm talking too much.
No, not at all. This is all about you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just in awe of this testimony. Like, and this is only some of the things, because I did get a chance to listen to your podcast and whatnot. And I just, I know that it's even deeper with some other things that you went through as well. And I'm just like, my main response right now is like, you really don't look like what you've been through. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Even from the moment that we met and everything like that, I see so much joy from you, your smile, all these different things. And so, to God be the glory for what he's done through
Yeah.
your life. Like,
Yeah.
I know those probably were some hard times, but look at you now, man. You're here, so sharing your testimony. Look, with little old me, man. And so I'm thankful and glad to have you here. So yeah, keep going. What else, ma'am? Just goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
But
This is
it's
a
just like you say, so many people look at me at first, like if you just meet me and I'm all like, hey, happy and stuff. And like, they think I've been through nothing in life. I don't know anything about life because, being a pastor's wife, I also like talk to a lot of people and they come with whatever is happening to them. And they're like, oh, you don't know, you don't understand because, you're just all happy and stuff. I'm like, the fact of me being happy is a choice, and it's because of God's grace in my life. And I will always tell them, like, if you hear a little bit of my story, you will understand me, what I'm saying. And they're like, wow, you don't look like all of that, and it's true. And I know it's God all through. I can't say nothing about myself because I don't believe I've been the strongest person or the most positive person. Like sometimes we think we have to be all of that so what God can work on us in our case, but not at all. You just have to, what you have to do is open the door for him and he do the rest. He can take like my mess and turn it into a message. See, and that other part you were talking about, I'm gonna write another book specifically about the relationship with my husband because we met online, and yeah, and I traveled to Nigeria to meet him, and a lot of things happened. Both of us are now living in Panama. Yes, we're gonna be like 18 years married this July. Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank
That's a blessing.
you.
All
But that's
right.
another entire different story. But
I
I
love the
wanted to
story.
I wanted to mention that because I remember once we got married, we agreed that we wanted to have kids right away, and then he had this idea and he passed it on to me that we're going to have a big family and we're going to have a football team and all of that. Obviously, we didn't know what we were talking about then. That's too much. But what happened is that we got married, and we realized 1 year into the marriage, no kids, no pregnancy, 2 years, nothing. And I'm like, something is wrong here. And due to also all my previous conditions and stuff, I've not mentioned all of them. It's too many but some of that had to do with my woman, like, oh, maybe we need some help. So we started going to doctors and stuff, and they realized that there were certain things wrong with him, certain things wrong with me. And we did treatments and stuff. And, we're always ready. Nothing happening. We went and tried artificial insemination, nothing. The only thing that was happening, I was getting fat because of all the hormones. So it was kind of frustrating because people look at me like, oh, you're pregnant. I'm like, no, I'm just full of it, because there was nothing. There's nothing in there. It was just because of all the injections and the hormones. You tend to be, get all fat. It's just like I compare when you're like fattening a cow or the chicken for it to look big and nice. It's the same thing, when you're doing all these treatments to get pregnant. There's a lot of hormones, a lot of injections. And if you don't get pregnant, you just become thick and fat. So that was happening. Not to make the story too long, we tried all those treatments, nothing worked. And then I started getting pregnant on my own. I remember my first pregnancy was twins. I was so happy. I was excited. But then in one of the scans and one of the visits to the doctor, he did the scan, and we realized that only the bags were there. The babies were not in there. They just disappeared. So they had to take out everything. And then the doctor said that they were going to test to see whatever they took out, to see what happened. But when they did all the tests and all these things, they say it's inconclusive, because it could have been that maybe my own body rejected the babies and did away with it, or he didn't have like one answer, like, oh, this is what happened. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. So obviously I was sad because of that. But then after a while, I got pregnant again on my own. But this time, we always like do the scans and stuff, and you see the baby's heart and everything. But after a while, before I get to the 3rd month, just there, I will lose a pregnancy. I will start bleeding, or you will see that the heart is not beating anymore. And that happened a total of 6 times that I can recall. And this is a lot. But in the process of trying and trying, we realized that I had a blood condition. It's a syndrome. It's called Anti-Phospholipid Syndrome, and it causes miscarriages because the blood also is so thick that it doesn't get to the baby. So it's like you're starving him. It doesn't grow. It dies. You see. So they found out that, and they started giving me blood thinning medication. And then they said, well, diabetes, but it wasn't a gestational diabetes. It's just like I was diabetic. And so I'm like, wow. So they started giving me insulin. At the end of the day, when I was pregnant, I had to take a total of 7 injections per day, between the hormones, the insulin, the blood thinning. I got used to it. I will just hold my abdomen here and just stick that thing in. But it will hurt, but I'll think of my baby. But even at that, I keep losing it. Finally, I got to this pregnancy, and we had it basically all figured out. We knew all the things that were going on wrong, so we were going to attack everything, and then they will have me on bed rest. By the time, if I managed to get to the 3rd trimester, what they did, well, not in this first, it's the second one. What they started doing is monitoring me every week and stuff. So this baby, she got to when we were in the 22nd, 21st week, went to the doctor, and we realized that since I had so many miscarriages before, the womb was weak. So it started opening. And he said, it's opening, and the only thing I can do now to try to save the baby is we're gonna do our cerclage, I think that's the name, where they sew the womb at the bottom for it not to open. But the baby was already so low and stuff. He kept pushing down. It started opening. So they had to admit me to the hospital. I spent 13 days there. I'm praying. I say, God, please help me, let this baby. And then they gave me an injection to mature his lungs and stuff, to see if it was a girl, if she could make it. And everything was okay, but I started having a fever. she got to the 23rd week. So the doctors are like, no, we cannot allow you to stay this week. We have to take out the baby. I'm like, no, this is the farthest I've gone. But then they said both of your lives are in danger. So the policy of the hospital is always to save the mother, and then they will see if they can save the baby. So they gave me some drugs to induce the labor, and that was just like so painful and stuff. And I had to deliver the baby. There are a lot of things that happened before that, but I won't get to all the details. I just wanted you to see the picture. And I remember I was screaming, I was like, oh, I need to push, because I felt this thing. And they were like ignoring me, because this is a public hospital, right? It's not the best service, just to say it that way. So some of them were like, no, you're just exaggerating. I guess they're just so used to seeing women, bawling, crying, and like nothing is happening. But this head nurse came by and she's like, you guys, you have to remember that this is a small baby coming out. You can't expect the same procedures as a, full grown baby. So by the time they checked, they realized the head is there. So I had to walk with my hand, like holding myself, to the expulsion room, because I can't even sit on the wheelchair, because the baby's head is right there. The good thing is that the room was just like, the next room.
I thought you was at least laying down right now. You said you was walking?
No, because I was like, I wasn't even lying down because I was so uncomfortable. But there was a moment I felt like something dropping, and I'm telling them something I need to push. So the head nurse is the one that came, and when she opened, she saw the baby's head right there. So at this point, this is not the place where you push. And then since it's a small baby, they had to have all these, so I had to walk to the other room with all the pain and stuff. But believe me, this wasn't the worst part. The pushing and stuff was fine. Okay, normal. Then there are a bunch of doctors. There's a preemie, 23 weeks. So I see all of them there. I didn't even care. They were doing all kind of like cleaning me up and stuff. I didn't think about that pain. I was just like looking. And then all of a sudden, all of them left and just one doctor there. And I'm seeing my baby. I'm like, what's happening? So I said, doctor, what? He said, oh, sorry, we can't save her. She's too small. And if she even survives, she's going to be deaf. She's going to be dumb. She's going to be this. She's going to be the other. So, imagine in my head, I'm like, whatever he's saying to me was like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, save her. So he left, and just one nurse is there, and she puts the baby like on a tray, and the baby is alive. So I'm like, aren't you going to put her in an incubator? She didn't say nothing. So I understood, because it's such a small baby, they're not even going to try that. They already tried what they could, but they said that even the needles could go into, So I told her, give her to me. So they took me now to another room, and I was there on my own. No one was there with me. It was cold. I'm holding my baby. She's alive. And I'm there, God, please, please, this is the farthest I've gone. One thing is having miscarriages, and the other thing is having your baby, and for me, she looked like a doll. She was beautiful. I started singing to her. I started praying. And at that same way, I saw her little heart, going slower, 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 until she just died. And I'm holding her there, and I'm driving myself crazy, It's just like I lost it. And the baby is already there. And then is when they allowed my husband to come in. And yeah, it was terrible. It was not the best experience in the world. And then this guy came and said he had to take her to the morgue. I'm like, no, for me, for me in my mind, it's like she was still alive. She's going to breathe or something. So the guy took her, and then I'm seeing he's wrapping her. I'm like, no, she can't breathe. I was really driving myself crazy. It was horrible. After that, they transferred me to a room where they have the women that have already given birth or lost their babies. There's a lot of them in one room. And I was sad, and they come to talk to me, like to try to comfort me, but I don't know who trained them, or if they don't know, they don't have no sensibility, because they will say things like, oh, you lost this baby, but you can have another one. I'm like, what? I don't want another one. I just lost my baby. You see what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
So I was so down that time. I thought to myself, I was gonna kill myself. And the room where I was, there's a very big window. They had a big window, and it's not a room with AC or anything. So I said, when these women are asleep in the night, I'm just gonna throw myself from the window, because I had lost so much, been through so much, and my little hope I had with this baby was gone. So I was devastated. It's not something I'll recommend, but I was down. I lost my mind totally. So before that happened, they had given me a lot of pills to like relax and sleep, but nothing was working out. My eyes were open. And I was praying, and I said, like, God, I feel sad. I feel upset. I feel confused. I feel empty. I'm like so many feelings at once. And I said, I just want to die. Please take me with my baby. That was my prayer there. And it wasn't an audible voice, but it was more like a thought. And it was telling me, like, let go. She's fine. She's going to be fine. And then shortly after, by the window, because I was right there by the window, I saw, like, when it's morning, that you see like a reflection of light through your window. I saw that, but it was like the afternoon. And then I heard something like say sleep. And I felt so sleepy. I'm like, I just fell asleep. And then hours after, when I woke up, I was like a different person. I was totally restored. I still have pain and sadness because I lost my child, but I had peace, and I know it was God, because I spoken to him. I told him what I felt, and he just gave me that peace. And the next day, when the people came to, my friends and stuff, to feel sorry for me, I'm like, hey, what's up? And, making jokes and stuff. And they were like looking at me like, oh, she definitely lost it. But then I told my husband what had happened, and I told him, I feel sad, yes, but I feel peace as well. And I feel like that joy of the Lord inside of me, that yes, we lost a child, but everything's going to be fine. And that way that they discharged me, I can't say it was like super easy, because the next day, when you give birth, your breast and stuff are full, and I had milk, but I have no baby to breastfeed. So that kept reminding me of my loss. And now and then I will still feel like she's inside of me, but there's nothing there. But even at that, the Lord gave me strength. She was a big enough baby, so we had to bury her as well. So we had the funeral. But when I saw her again, I wasn't able to touch her. I couldn't. So my mom, one of my moms, she had to help me to dress her up and stuff. And we put some toys that I had for her, and we let her go. But people were still surprised at the funeral that I was sad, but I was like, not like devastated, like, oh, my life has ended, like I felt previously, and I just had to tell them, this is the Lord doing this. He really comforts you when you have a difficulty. And well, after, just to not to extend so much, the Lord, the Lord gave me 2 children. One is 9-year-old. Her name is Grace Lee, and the other one is Joshua. He's 6. And it's like, I feel like I have 5 children. They're so full of energy and stuff, but I was the one that called myself barren at some point. I call myself a living cemetery, because babies will die inside of me. I even remember telling my husband to divorce me, to marry someone else that will give him children. And he said no, because one thing I can say of my husband, he's full of faith. I won't even get angry with him with so much faith that he has. Like, no, the Lord will provide. I'm like, come on, but it's true. And he said, I married, and when I got married, divorce wasn't part of, my itinerary, just to say it that way. And he will pray constantly every night, and he would say, God, thank you for my children. And he said that the Lord had promised him that his children would sit around his table. So when he said that, I was like, his children with who? Not with me, because I can't do that. But, it's just for you to see, I wasn't perfect in my faith. I was doubting, and I'm like, and still the Lord did what he had to do, because he had a purpose for me, for my life, and he gave me not one. He gave me 2 children, and I had to have surgery not to have any more, because I'm sure, when God opens a door, it flows, 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 flows. So I said, okay, no more, God, no more. And that is, like, in a nutshell, most of my story. Obviously, in the book, you can see everything in detail, what happened to my biological mom, how we met, all the different illnesses, the in and out of the hospital. And today, I would say none of our lives are perfect, but the Lord makes our life worthy, and He makes any situation, to turn for your good. Like the Bible says, like, everything works together for good for them that love the Lord. And I sure love Him, and I'm so grateful to Him for what He has done in my life. So today we pastor a church here in Panama. We have 3 branches. And at the beginning, it wasn't something I wanted, but everything with me is God. God, if that's what you want from me, will you find a way for me to, fit in, and I will obey. And I was remembering something you said before we started live, that, sometimes you think you have to have everything together to start something. Everything must be right to start. But something I learned is that you have to start with what you have. If the Lord has put something in your heart, if the Lord has given you an instruction, just follow it step by step, and He will lead you. You will start with something small, and as He sees that you're obeying, He will show you the next step and the next step and the next step. You don't need to have everything figured out. Just obey Him, trust Him, and He will open the way. And when you see, He will take you places you can't even imagine. So that's basically my testimony, what I wanted to say. Oh, don't cry. Mm.
God is so good, like, and it's not tears of pity or anything like that. For me, it's just everything that God is doing in your life,
Yeah.
and even to get you here to this moment. And who knows, again, who your story's going to touch, who knows who your book is going to bless, who knows what those seeds of the church is going to do. Like,
Yeah.
so for me, I think all of that is just like, I think you might be the first person that got me on here crying. Like, I know I've cried on the podcast. I don't know if I've cried on the show. But like I said, to God be the glory, man. I'm not even, again, I don't know who watches, you know what I'm saying? I don't know who's going to see this. But that right there, if nothing else, like, I don't even have to even say anything. I could probably be like, all right, well, thank you, everybody. Because your story, what you've shared, even just that part there, so many things in there, you know what I mean? Like how God gave you that peace at that terrible time. Like, I'm a mom now, you know what I'm saying? I only have one son, and everything at the moment. Who knows what the Lord gonna do? I'm open to, we gonna see. I know everybody's like, well, they waiting for the next shot. I'm like, whatever the Lord want to do, but I do got my preference at the moment, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I say all that to say that I just kind of, for a moment, at least tried to put myself in your shoes of, like, going through pregnancy and whatnot. And I was very nervous. I was very nervous when I was pregnant and whatnot. And I think for me, there was a few things that made me nervous. One, I mean, I'm someone that never had surgery, never broke a bone, stuff like that. So to all of a sudden be pregnant and then be like, I mean, y'all know where the babies come from, It's like, how is that gonna happen? Like, what? It's like, I was the person that was like, oh, I'm cool with a C-section. I'm cool with a C-section. Because I'm like, I can't imagine it coming vaginally. Like, I just,
Oh boy.
being honest, you know what I'm saying? And so that was something that I was kind of like nervous about. I was also 32 at the time, and that's the age that my father passed.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and I didn't get it. He was 32 when he passed, and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to meet him because he passed the same year I was born. And so
wow.
again, thinking about a mother with being pregnant and whatnot, like one of my, I guess, the guest that's going to be on the episode before this one airs, she was sharing how she was pregnant and was going through some type of suicidal thoughts and things like that as well, and how being pregnant was one of those things that God used to stop her, you know what I mean, from
Yeah.
that, and so again, and that makes me think about my mom, because I think about her, I'm just like, man, I cannot imagine losing my husband when I'm pregnant. Like that's like, mom,
Mm,
I thank God,
very.
thanks mom, you know what I'm saying, thank you for pushing. We had a conversation here on the show about it and whatnot, and so I don't know if you want to watch that episode, but anyway, yeah, I
I
interviewed
will.
my
I
mom.
will.
Yeah, I interviewed her and I told her about that, because I just, I think about it every now and then. Like I did, I saw this picture of her at the funeral, and I just like, I can't even imagine losing my husband at all. You know what I'm saying? And then
Mhm.
to have lost my husband when I'm pregnant. So that's what I'm saying. This whole being
Yes.
pregnant thing and carrying, like, and then what you just described,
Yes.
like there's so many things, so many things about, because I can remember when I gave birth, and how they, now the worst thing I would say that happened to me while I was while we through my pregnancy situation was well, not pregnancy, but like the giving birth part
Yeah.
was that we called the ambulance, because we were like, we don't want to be trying to get pulled over or any of that stuff, so we called the ambulance to take me. And but then my husband drives separately, so here I am with the two ambulance people, the man that was driving and the woman that was like, they're asking me all the questions or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so here I
Mhm.
am trying to answer questions through pain, and
I
trying to just
know.
breathe, trying to just breathe. And then,
And
so then when they're pulling me out into the hospital,
yeah,
this lady goes, "Oh, it's only going to get worse from here."
you don't say those things. Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like, who is this woman? And what in the world? Like, why would you even say that at all? So
Exactly.
that was
Exactly.
like the worst thing that happened to me. Like, but the numerous things that happen with you, like the fact that you walk into the room when the baby's coming out, and the fact that they didn't want to even attempt to save the baby, and then
Mhm.
you're holding the baby in your arm. Like, I can't even, and then they take you to a room with other people. Like, what the world is going on? Like, I can't, man, sis, like, man,
Mm.
again, you don't look like what you've been through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God be glory for your testimony. Like, to me, at least in the little short time we've known each other, to me, it seems as if you're standing strong and able to share your testimony in such a way where it's like, and isn't that the amazing thing as well, that it just shows God, right, and his glory and his mercy, and the fact again that you had that peace even after that moment where things could have took a real left turn, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Um, that he gave you peace after that. And because sometimes, and I've been talking about that lately on the podcast on the juice, I've been saying that, I have peace right now. I can't imagine going through what you just said and God giving me that peace as well. But I mean, but I'm glad to know that, again, that could be true in your situation, my situation, anybody's situation, that God can give you that peace. And we are examples. Like, this lady right here is a living testimony. I'm a living testimony. Like, so even if it's as small as my little issues, or as big as what yours may seem, whatever the case is, um, different ends of the spectrum or whatever, but it could just, should show anybody, right, that God can give you peace in whatever your situation is. And so um I'm glad I'm back. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to talk.
I'm
Gonna dry
sorry.
the tears a little bit. Dry the tears a little bit. Thank you for that. I was like, Lord, I'm gonna just be a bubbling fool here. I'm like, uh, man, like, look, where
Oh
is
my
this gonna go from here?
That's the idea, that you realize that no matter what, because even with my story, I know there are people that are going through worse things, but I've been so close to death so many times, and I'm here, I'm alive. And I say, God, I want my life to count for you. And you see, the book that I wrote, for years, the Lord has been like telling me, you have to write a book. And I will like ignore, I'm like voices in my head, I'm going crazy. So it's like the Lord's like, you think you're going crazy. So he will put people on my way and say, you have to write a book. I'm like, what? You know? But
Do what I told you to do.
yeah, I ignored that for some time. And then I remember in 2020, when the pandemic started, I got COVID-19. So with all the pre-existing condition, and I felt like a dog. I was really sick. So I'm like, Lord, I'm gonna die, and I didn't write the book. I'm like, I'm sorry. Can you just give me a chance to write the book, and then we can talk about this? So what I did at first, I won't lie, I was scared because we didn't know anything about COVID-19. And I'm like, they say the people that have underlying conditions, they die fast. And I'm here with the diabetes, with the this, with the that. So I'm like, this is it for me. But then when I got home and they had me in quarantine right there in my room, I had like my special time with God. And I said, God, I don't know if it's my time to go or not, but whatever time I have, I want it to count for you. And then I said, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but we know who holds tomorrow. So I took one day at a time. And what I decided to do was like a vlog about it. So I didn't do the blog all the days, but I did it like, oh, this is day 4 and I'm feeling this way, this way. And I said, I'm going to give this testimony. If I have to die here, fine, if that's what you want, but I'm going to leave some testimonies here, for your honor and glory. So I just decided that if God has me here with life and being so close to that, he must have some purpose with me. I want my life to count for him. I want to, if this testimony is going to help to save even one soul, well, let me say it, let me share it. And it's just like, we don't have time to sit down and complain about what we don't have or how bad this is or not. Life is very, very short, very frail. And there's nothing better than you having that satisfaction that meanwhile you're alive, you're doing what God has asked you to do. That makes the whole difference, you see. So, hey.
Yes. Look, I'm telling you, man, 2020, I know people look at it a certain way. For me, I'm like, and I was just telling my mom this earlier, actually, before we got on, I was talking to her. And so, for me, God, I feel like God really did, give me the opportunity to do those things that he had told me to do. Like I said, this had been in my heart and mind for years. I didn't know, like, again, I thought I was going to do it in this fancy way and have an audience and all this different stuff. But I've been able to, like, again, how else would we have met, right? If I hadn't been able to do this exact way, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
it's
so many
perfect.
other people that I've talked to, so many other people I've met. I'm working with people now. I finally have my dream team, but come to find out, my dream team is international. Like people in so many different places. Like the girl that's helping me as a virtual assistant, she's in Kenya. I got these 2
Wow.
guys that help me with editing and all this type of stuff. They're in Pakistan. This guy that helps me with the videos now, he's in like Waterloo, Iowa. Like these
Wow.
people that I call my dream team, and I'm like messaging them out like all day every day. But like these people in all these different places that are helping me pull this thing together, because again, just stepping out on faith in 2020, April 1st, 2020 to be exact. I started
Wow.
Juice, the daily inspiration. And
Yes.
and that's another thing too. Like again, thank God for my husband. It's great to have like you said, you got that praying husband and everything like that. I
Yes.
have, very supportive husband as well. And when I was talking to him about the concept of GSL, because I was thinking about making a blog at one point, because I was like, I could at least put out a blog, because I was like, I had the show was in my mind. That was the ultimate goal. But I was like, I'll at least just put it out as a blog or something. Because I've
Yeah.
been on this idea. I feel led to do it. I got to find a way to do it, And he told me, it was back in 2019. He was like, you should do a podcast. And I was
Mm.
like, I just told you I'm making a blog and you trying to make me do more work. I just, and then, but lo and behold, 2020 came around and the idea about podcasts came around again. And like I said, stepping out on faith and just doing that part, just making the podcast daily inspiration, which was crazy. He was the inspiration for that too. He's my muse in a lot of ways, because I was just chit-chatting with him one day. I just was like, okay, I'm thinking about doing this podcast thing finally. I know you told me to do it last year, thinking about doing it now finally. And I was like, maybe I should just put like once a week, once a month, He was
I
like,
saw that way.
right. But he says, he's all like, well, successful podcasts, they actually do it every day. I'm like, what? Every day? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, what would I even talk about every day? but lo and behold, this concept, daily dose of inspiration, came in my mind. And now I do take a break. I do, but it's like Monday through Saturday. So I take a break though. I do take the Sunday break, but yeah, it's pretty much every day. And the weekly talk show now. And like I said, just stepping out on faith and being consistent with that kicked off everything else. And that's why I'm just like, to God be the glory for all things. I'm excited. This conversation again is just another thing to confirm to me that I'm where I'm supposed to be, man. Because again, I don't know who I'm going to reach and who's going to hear your story on here, but like I said, to God be the glory. I'm glad that you weren't scared, because that's another thing too. I'm finding that fellow believers, I think y'all are scared of this.
I wasn't scared. I'm here shaking.
Don't be scared. Oh my God. I guess if you call your show God, Sex, and Love, people are like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, but God made it all. God made it all, right? He made everything.
Yeah.
But anywho, look, because how did you have the babies? Like, come on, like, let's stop here.
Do I have to
like, we know how babies are made. Y'all stop acting like y'all don't. Sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah, so like I said, it's gotta be the glory for that, man. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your testimony. Thank you for being obedient. Right? So
Thank you. If you weren't obedient to start with what God put in your heart, I wouldn't be here sharing my story in your program. So we have to thank ourselves for, allowing the Lord to work in our lives.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, because I was saying this on the juice recently. I'm like, it's very important for us to be in the position that God created us to be in and do that thing and walk in purpose, because you don't know who you're blessing down the line. You know what I mean? Like, again, if you watch more episodes of GSL, I'm just gonna get you to watch the show. Basically, I
wasn't going to at the beginning, but you said it 2 times now, so I must go and watch it.
Well, you or everybody that watches, tell you guys more episodes to tune into. So the Dream Team, I interviewed at least 2 of them thus far. The guy that's in Waterloo, Iowa, and then the lady that's in Kenya that I was telling you about.
Yes.
And both of them spoke so highly of me, right? And they're like so thankful to me. But I'm just like, man, this is just God. Like, I'm just literally walking by faith, and I'm just glad that you're here to help me. Like, you know what I mean? I'm so much alone, So I'm just glad to finally have a dream team, But it was also confirmation to me again about being, like you say, being in the right place at the right time, because, this person was like, having your business, right, has helped me, has helped me grow, whatever the case is. And so same for you and your story, writing that book, whoever that is that's going to get it, it's going to be a blessing to them, or your podcast or any of the things. So I'm telling y'all, man, if y'all don't hear nothing else, that's the other thing too. Obviously, her message is powerful alone. Now, got to this point, right? This is just another gentle reminder from me to you. Get in your purpose, man. Do what it is that God done told you to do, because you could be holding up a lot of blessings, not only with yourself, but with other people. And so,
other people. Yeah, remember, we are blessed to be a blessing to others. So we can't afford to not do what God has asked us to do. And he put those dreams in our hearts. But sometimes we, as I said before, we want to have everything figured out from A to Z before we start. But that's not the way God works. He keeps opening. As you obey, you take one step. He say, okay, you obey this one. Now let's do this one now.
I'm right here. Yep. Living testimony. She's right.
Yeah, I always say, if God was to show you everything he has for you at once, you'll flip. You're like, no, I can't do that. So that's why he has to show you things little by little by little, and then he makes everything perfect in his time.
Exactly. Look.
Yeah.
Keep speaking, sis. Yes. I'm right here with you. Right. Look, I'm the amen corner today. Yes. So, tell us the name of your book and the name of your podcast and everything like that.
Okay, my book, I don't have the real book here. This is my author's copy, but this is the way it would look like. It says Resilient, Born to Survive. And I have it in English and in Spanish because I'm a translator. So we have it in Amazon, just for Resilient, Born to Survive. My name is Malaika Etuk. I did my own web page too. I started with one idea and then it came out to another thing. I have the web page where I have, photos of the act, like my testimony. Since I couldn't put everything in the book, it will become like too expensive to put all these images and stuff. So what I did is I created a website, which is my name, malaikaittook.com. And there you will see the photos of, because when I was in the hospital and stuff, they took photos of me. I don't know what for, but now I know.
Hey.
And I'm with the tubes and stuff, and in different situations. I have my photos of me being pregnant, because some people will still say, oh, that's not true. God did it. It was inside of me. So I have the photos there. I have the videos of the testimony COVID, when I had COVID. I uploaded it. Yeah, because I did so people can see, I was looking at it the other day. I look so pale in one of them, like, ooh, I was sick, So I have yeah. And then I had the podcast as well. It's called Resilient People. And you have inspired me a lot, because I just did the first episode and then I have this idea. I'm like, how am I going to do it? But now I see you. Because I had in my mind, I thought I want to talk to people that have been through, situations, and I want them to give their testimony for others too. Because there's so many people, we pass through so many things, but when God delivers us, we don't open our mouth to give our testimony. And the word says that they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. How are you going to help other people if you don't tell them what God did for you? So that's the purpose of my podcast. As I said, I only have one episode, but I'm gonna start working on building it up good and making it more constant. I don't know if I can do every day, maybe once a week.
Yeah.
But that's the idea that I have, and I want the book is in. You can get it the physical copy or ebook, whichever. And as I said, of course, I want to sell it, but my main purpose is to share what God did in my life. And you can see me, I am not perfect. I still go through things, but I am okay because God got my back. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Man, amen. Well, I'm not trying to force myself on your show, but if you do need guests, something like that, I'm definitely willing to come and share my own testimony and whatnot as well, and support in any aspect, just let me know. I'm excited because you say you're a translator. I don't know, I might need to get you help you. You want to translate my children's book, because I want to make sure it's done right.
I do that. That's what I studied by force too, because I wasn't gonna finish my studies. My husband forced me, and I'm so grateful he did. I studied English with emphasis in translation. So I interpret as well. Since he speaks mostly English and we have the church, he gives a message in English and I'm right there beside him interpreting into Spanish. So that's what I do. And I like to use my gift also, especially for the Lord. So you can count on me.
Awesome. Well, wonderful. Yeah, because I actually, that came to my mind the other day. So I guess the Lord's trying to tell me something here. But yeah, it came to my mind the other day to translate my children's book. Because I think someone asked me about it and I was like, that would be cool. But then I'm like, well, how would I know if it's right? Like somebody could just say it, and they could be translating it and stuff. But I feel, this connection, I feel like I could trust you and that it will be exactly what it's supposed to be. And not, trying to make, because you never know. People might be out here like, oh yeah. And then they have your book saying all kinds of stuff, and you're like,
what kind of book is this?
Right, like this, it's a kid's book saying all kinds of foolishness, and how would I know as somebody that doesn't speak the language, anyway. But anywho, well, we can chit chat about all of that and everything like that, and I feel like I say this all the time, so people that watch this, they probably tired of me, but oh well, I'm gonna say it again. I feel like I could talk to you all day. So because of that, I just want to see, is there anything else you would like to share with us before you go?
Not that I remember. I mean, I have a lot of things to say, but it's better to buy the book and you get all the little details, because when you're talking live, you just certain things you remember and I can't say it all.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I appreciate you and your time. I thank you so much for sharing your testimony. You got me crying on here, but that's all right, because again, like I said, God be the glory for your testimony, for you being resilient, right? Born to survive. I love that. And you proof, living proof, y'all. Thank you so much for coming. I truly appreciate this conversation.
Thank you. Thanks to you. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Miracle Sims, let's go.
Thank you so much for watching God, Sex, and Love. And thank you to Miss Malaika and Duke for joining me for this conversation today. Y'all saw it. She done had me boo-hooing and everything. But, guys, go check out her book. Check out her podcast. Powerful, powerful testimony. And I hope that you all enjoyed it. Have a good night.